In Lawrence High, I was flunking out of grades. I was flunking out of classes. I was failing. Within my freshman year, I stayed back. I was known as a freshman, so I ended up not having enough credits to remain as a freshman completely, but not enough to be a sophomore either. So I was considered a freshman. And I also lost my best friend at the age of 15, and she was the only one that I can connect to. All my friends in school, I had friends, but no one really that I could connect to. It was just my best friend. So when she passed away, I had a hard time just getting around school, feeling like I mattered. And so I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't go to school. I skipped a ton of days I would go without going to school. My parents would push me. I didn't want to go. And my guidance counselor at the time told me that he wasn't sure if I was going to graduate. He wasn't sure, if my future was going to be as bright. And he recommended that I would go to a lecture hall to see a state trooper speak. So I went. He told me, you can miss one class and, just go there and then just see what she has to say. I was like, okay. So I went to the lecture hall. I listened to the state trooper, and the entire time she was talking about something called the Student State Trooper Academy. It's about a month long. I went in the summer at the time, and when I was in the lecture hall, she was looking at everybody, but she kept continuously looking directly at me. And she would talk about how she was there to recruit people, students. Hopefully they would become state troopers. I thought to myself, I don't want to be a state trooper. I don't want to do any of that. I wasn't even sure of what I wanted to do. So as I was leaving the lecture hall, I kept thinking, okay, great, now I have to go to another class. She stopped me and she was like, hey, I think you remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. I think, here's an application, just look it up, take some time to think about it. And then, I recommend that you apply. I thought about it for a few days. I didn't really want to be involved with policing. I mean, it's kind of funny because I'm a police officer now, but it wasn't something that I really wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. At one time, I wanted to be a veterinarian. At another time, I wanted to be a dentist. And then I just didn't want to be anything at all. I ended up applying because I thought, why not? I was also going to get extra credit, and I also didn't want to remain a freshman while other friends were being sophomores and they were going up, through education. So I was like, let me take the extra credit, let me just go. So I went, I applied, and there I was, not really wanting to do it, but just going through whatever I wanted to do because I wanted the credits. And eventually, throughout that situation, the state trooper would continuously be there for me. She started supporting me, and let alone, I came from in Lawrence High. I had a social worker. Personally, my father didn't even want me around. He thought I was a troublemaker. I was surrounded by the wrong people, the wrong company, people who constantly wanted to be in the streets. And I thought of that as my family at the time because they would show me attention. They would be there whenever I wanted to talk to someone, but those weren't the right people. They weren't making the right choices. My parents saw that, and that's when the social worker came into place. And I also had a probation officer because of the amount of time that I was skipping from school. So he would continuously show up. I would get embarrassed. I would get mad because everyone was like, oh, you're basically on a leash. You can't do whatever you want. You can't even hang out with your friends. I was mad. I was mad at my parents. I was mad at everything. But he made sure I went to school every day after that. If I was even 1 minute late for school, he would show up to my mom's house, pick me up, and drop me off at school. If I wasn't home at 11 p.m., which was my curfew at that time, he would call my phone, blow up my phone, show up to my friend's house, until I called him and told him where I was, and then he would drop me off home. So I went like that for a few years. I want to say about 2 years, until I became a junior in LHS. And fast forwarding to the academy that I went to, the State Student Trooper Academy. Trooper Angela Guerrero was the one who was there, and anything I needed, even if it was financially, if I needed clothes for the academy that I was attending, she would get it for me. She would help me with whatever means necessary. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to getting things myself. I was used to being by myself. So I would continuously push people who wanted better for me away. And what I ended up doing was I would listen to her. Whatever she had advised me to do, I would do it. And just throughout that whole academy that I went to, I learned to be more disciplined. I learned to be more confident within myself, because at first I wasn't. And I don't want to say, I wanted to be a state trooper at that point, but seeing how she was, seeing, where she came about, because she came from a similar background, and just listening to her story, it touched me in a way where I started feeling like I wanted to be more. I wanted to do more. So when I came back afterwards, off of that, just a month away, so I wasn't even home for that entire month. I didn't see my parents for that entire month. And I was just there. Everything that I did was besides state troopers. And afterwards, what ended up happening was when I came back to Lawrence High to go to school, to attend my classes again, I started doing better for myself. I started attending my classes. I started doing the homework that I was supposed to do. I started even reading ahead, just to get ahead, to be able to answer questions, if the teacher at the time asked a question. I just wanted to do more for myself. So I started doing that. I started completely attending all the schools, and I ended up graduating in time, after even my guidance counselor at the time told me, hey, go to NECO, just go to NECO for 2 years and transfer over to a 4-year college. Excuse me, I had other teachers as well tell me the same thing. They were like, there's no way you're not going to be able to go to a 4-year college. And no, I'm not going to allow that to be my future. I want to go to a 4-year college. So I kept taking extra credit. I kept doing the things that I needed to do. And eventually I got accepted to Westfield State. Every other college said no to me but Westfield State. So I went to Westfield State for about a year, 2 years, transferred over to UMass Lowell into the criminal justice. At that point, I had the trooper in my mind, and I said, I want to be just like her. Not exactly like her, but like her in the way that she's disciplined, focused, and very centered. I wanted that for myself. I wanted that for myself. I wanted that for my family. I wanted my family to be proud of me. So that's the route that I took. And when I graduated in 2015 from UMass Lowell, I took some internships. I took one for the Center of Terrorism. It was through UMass Lowell at the time, but I was able to learn different things, learn about homicides and mass shooters, which I found very interesting. And through college, I found out I was really interested in the criminal justice field. I was interested also in psychology. So I have a degree both in majors. So I have 2 majors with 1 degree of a bachelor's, and it's a major in psychology and a major in criminal justice, with a concentration in violence. Once I graduated UMass Lowell, I did the internships, and then I took the civil service exam afterwards. I had to wait a little bit because there was a long list, but eventually I was accepted into the Lawrence Police Department. And like I said, it's about to be 2 years in April that I'm going to be a patrolman, but last year in October, I made the entry team, which is the SWAT, so it's the entry team. And they basically deal with a high level of responses in very tense situations, very extremely risky situations, and that's what we get called along. So I'm the first female to join that group, and that was one of my biggest accomplishments. I do have more accomplishments later on to go. I plan to go up in the ranks from patrolman to sergeant and possibly lieutenant, and we'll see if more than that. But what I just want to say to you guys is, don't push away the people that care about you or that show that care about you. I know that with COVID going on and everything, it's easy to get, I don't want to say lazy, but it's easy to get off of the track that you were once on, or the track that you should be on. And anything, even if there's that one person that cares about you, or you see that they push you to try and do better, just take it. If you take it, you have no idea where you're gonna go. And I'm saying that personally because back then, in 2007, 2008, I would have never imagined that I would be here, standing here in a uniform, being the first female ever in the SWAT team. I'm only 5'2". I'm small. I'm not also built muscular, but there's other ways to do that. So I do work out. I go for runs, 3 to 5 miles every morning. I also take mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu and Krav Maga, to help me, be able to make up for the muscular strength that I don't have in comparison to a man. So honestly, set goals, achieve your dreams, and just know that nothing is ever too difficult to achieve. You can do it all you have to do is just have the will to do it. And it's if you don't have the will to do it now, just take small steps to get there. And if you need help, ask for help. If there's somebody that motivates you, hey, get with them and continue to motivate, and maybe you'll be able to motivate others, because that's what I hope to do. I hope I'm able to motivate you guys to continue to do the things that would be right for you and great for you, so that you could look back and you're like, wow, I would have never imagined that I'd be here now.
For your time with us.
Ooh.
On behalf of the senior class of 2021, we just want to give you a little gift bag, and hopefully when you go to the gym to work out something, you can
I'll carry
use
it.
it. So there's a lot
I'm gonna go today, so I might as well. I'll carry it, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you
awesome.
so much. Thank you so
Appreciate
much
it.
for having me.
Appreciate
I
your
really
time.
appreciate it.
So we hope to see you again, hopefully for graduation. or something.
Anytime.